surprise, surprise, would pick 9 in the draft for season 32, going with the Florida State Seminoles. So let me kind of explain what happened in season 31 and how we got to where we're at now. So season 31, get a high pick, hoping to get Nebraska. Nebraska doesn't fall. Okay. Pick number 2, Kentucky. Felt a little bit guilty because there's two. So while Kentucky is my second favorite team, there are two coaches behind me that are Kentucky fans number 1. So I figured, well, I'll pass on them and I'll let one of them have them. I'll go somewhere else. And I start kind of looking at what team might interest me. The talk about how the ACC is subpar, blah, 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 all that stuff that was going on during that season, especially at the end of the season. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll go to the ACC. And Florida State was one of the teams I was looking at that year, but I saw not too far behind me was a Florida State coach. So I kind of said, I'll let the Florida State coach have them. I'll let the Kentucky fans have Kentucky, even though neither coach took Kentucky. And I just put 20 names of teams that were somewhat interesting to me in a wheel, spun it. That's how I ended up with Tulane. So really, Florida State was my third choice in season 31, but I passed on them. Like, Nebraska didn't drop, and then the two teams I did want, fans were pretty close behind me, so I passed. And funny enough, we circle back, season 32, Florida State's there. I do see that there were Florida State fans behind me, but they're pretty far down. I wasn't sure that Florida State would fall. And don't know how I feel about that, because I felt like if I would have passed on a team that I wanted and then they don't get it, we both lose out. So it is what it is. But I will tell you other two teams on my list. I had a list of 3 teams. So Tulane wasn't going to be kept. And the reason they weren't kept is because I was going to be, or will be, hosting a show for a group of 5 conferences. Because of that, I didn't want to be a group of 5 team. I wanted to completely take away any potential bias I may have and make it super simple. We're going to a power conference and we'll go from there. But I'll show you the 2 teams that I was going to be if Florida State was taken. One will really surprise you. So we'll go with number 3 first, because I find like that's the more interesting team. Number 3, Arizona. Arizona has an interesting roster. They'd go to the Big 12. I'd have an opportunity to play Colorado because, I'm not a big CU fan. I think that's pretty well known. And I'd be in the same conference as MC. I thought that'd be really interesting. Their defense is but let's be honest, defenses in the Big 12 are kind of like that anyway. Field general would be the first time I'd ever get to have a team that has a quarterback that has that, and that can be a huge advantage or a huge detriment. Sometimes you can use it to rule out what actually is happening, or sometimes you can tell exactly what is happening, so it makes things really interesting on offense. They've got a lot of speed, got a great receiver in McMillan. They've got speed in the running back room, but they were number 2. This definitely will surprise, and I'm going to explain why. Louisville. Yes, Kentucky is my second favorite team, but there's 2 things. One is a video game. I don't care. It's not going to hurt me. I'm not losing any sleep at night if I get a rival team to a school that I like. Don't care. So there's 2 things that I thought would have been interesting if I would have got Louisville. First of all, I do have a Kentucky shirt and I have a Kentucky hat. And I was going to actually make a video if Louisville would have been the pick to announce my pick. Kind of NWO style, I guess. Louisville fight, or Kentucky fight song in the background. Me with the Kentucky shirt on, the Kentucky hat. And then you rip the shirt and what's underneath? Louisville t-shirt, throw the hat, fight song changes to Louisville. I was going to go heel. Be the Louisville Cardinals. And not going to lie, they have a really good team on this year's game, and I was going to dynasty them. So if a Kentucky fan would to get them in 26, I was going to be the heel and the antagonist, one of those guys for season 33, and also for, EA 26. Problem is, let's be honest, I would have got terrible karma for doing that. Probably best that I got Florida State. Let's take a look at the roster and see what I'll be working with.